No, wait a minute.
Yeah, it's going to go live there. Go ahead. Now you can refresh it. Scroll up. One more time. Keep doing it. It'll come on. Anyway, we'll give it a few minutes because we don't play our intro.
I'm here. I'm just trying to get this thing going.
I'm watching Chris.
There we go.
Let's just touch that. All right, you got it. You got to watch what I deal with here, Chip. You just got to see what
technical difficulties.
He disappeared underneath the desk, and I was kind of like, "Wait a minute,
no,
is that this kind of show? Wait a minute,
this is a family show.
Wait a minute,
barely PG.
Hold on a minute.
I got to make up for lost time, Chip.
Now you got to swipe to make sure we can see the comments.
La 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 la.
Okay. Good evening, everyone, and thanks for joining us. I know we were supposed to do this last week at this time, but Chris wasn't feeling well.
No.
So Chip and I agreed to push it back a week so that Chris could join us. I'm John Ruggiero. This is Chris Therian. We are the co-founders of New Jersey Paranormal, and that man there needs no introduction. The great and amazing and healthy Chip Coffey. How are you, sir?
I'm not healthy. I'm doing okay. How are you guys?
You look fantastic.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. I'm feeling like 90% better than I did in December.
Well, you scared the bejeebies out of us. I'm trying to keep it GQ, but you scared us really bad.
What? I'm hearing feedback. I'm hearing myself talk.
Why?
It's got to be on your end. We have the headphones on, so it's not coming out of our.
That's really. I'm hearing like a few seconds delay, and I'm hearing. I just heard Chris say bejeebious.
Well, you definitely heard that, but it's not anything that we have on. It's.
Might be this.
You hear it? Is it better?
I don't know. Hold on a second. Let me hear. Yes.
Okay. We figured it out. So anyway, you went through quite an ordeal there. I know there were a lot of people worried about you, and a lot of people were posting on social media, on your page, and even we were texting you every day or every other day, or texting Greta. Do you mind talking about what happened?
I don't mind talking about it. It's a good lesson. I think it's one of those teachable moments for people. You know, I'm 70 years old and I have diabetes and a respiratory condition, and I have to take care of myself. And that's part of the reason that I'm not traveling as much and going to as many events as I once did, because I've got to protect my health. And my doctors have become I'm sensitive to it. My doctors have become very sensitive to me getting around huge crowds of people. So I went to an event, did an event in the Chicagoland area, and then came home and went to the dentist. And those really were the only 2 times I was out of the house before I was stricken right at the beginning of December with pretty much I went into severe respiratory distress.
Oh my God.
And I went into the hospital pretty much unable to breathe, and they admitted me, and I thought I'd be in the hospital for a couple of days, and things went downhill fast. And as it turned out, I had a form of coronavirus, not COVID-19. I had to be different and get a different coronavirus, which was identified. It's funny how they can identify the strain in the lab. I had coronavirus OC43 is the version of coronavirus, and it can be as kind of benign, if you will, or not serious as a cold, but it can also be as serious as getting into the whole pneumonia thing. And they started me on steroids and antibiotics, and I was getting breathing treatments every 3 to 4 hours, and I was on oxygen, and it was really bad there for a while. That coronavirus turned into double pneumonia. I had pneumonia in both lungs.
Wow.
And I was in the hospital for 14 days, which took me right down. I could barely get up and walk with a walker. And so they sent me to a rehabilitation facility to actually strengthen myself and get my stamina back up, strengthen me and get my stamina back up. And I was there for 16 days. So I was away from home a total of 30 days.
Oh,
and
God.
it was touch and go for a while. I mean, when I did a follow-up visit, a post-hospitalization visit with my pulmonologist, when he walked into the room and I was sitting there, he said, "My goodness, I can't believe I'm looking at the same person I saw at the hospital just a couple of weeks ago." And then he listened to my lungs and said, "I can't believe these are the same lungs I listened to a couple of weeks ago." So he said, "I was really concerned about you." And they had told me in the hospital that they didn't know if they were going to be able to pull me through this. I mean, that's how candid they were with me. They didn't know if I was going to make it or not. So I know that I came pretty close to not making it.
Yep.
So I'm really grateful, and I want to thank everyone for their kind thoughts and prayers and good mojo and healing energy and all that stuff. I can't tell you how blessed I am to have people who cared enough to take the time and send me good wishes, and I don't want to get emotional about it, but I'm grateful for it. Very grateful, very grateful.
I knew that things were probably bad when I texted a few times, and I texted Greta, and you stopped posting on social media. You posted that you were in the hospital, but then there was nothing from you.
Oh, I didn't have any stamina to even consider social media.
Well, I said to Chris at that point, there's something really wrong. He must be really bad. And then Greta was kind of updating me. And then when you finally reached out, that first conversation that we had, you were definitely labored. You had been in recovery at the rehab center at that point, but you were still in between sentence. You would take a breath, and it was noticeable. But we were very nervous about what was going on, and we were afraid, and we were concerned, and we were praying, and lots of people were praying, and it can turn that quickly.
It can turn serious. I mean, right. I read something, and I'm going to look at my phone here for a second. Let me actually silence my phone and look at something on my phone that I read, which is pretty concerning. If people don't think that there's still illness and sickness out there, I'm going to read you something that was just on the internet a couple of days ago. And it says the U.S. reports 5 million new COVID cases in a single week. 5 million. With 716,000 new daily infections. And to break that down, currently, last Thursday, 1 in every 67 people in the United States was infected with COVID-19. 1 in 67.
Right. Yeah, so a lot of people think it's gone, and it's not. I have someone very close to me who's it's not good, and I'm dealing with that now, and he just got pneumonia. It was a cough, and then it turned, and it's just not good, and I'm dealing with that now.
There's the flu, there's RSV, and now there's a huge beginning of a measles outbreak coming.
Right.
I mean, there's all this stuff, and I don't want to get it all political, but we've just installed somebody in a position with the government who is anti-vax.
Right.
And, I people can do what they want to do, but that should not put the rest of us who are trying to be cautious in a position to become hermits and have to stay at home. Basically what this has done to me is it's made me say, I'm going to stay at home the majority of the time.
You have to. You're compromised.
I'm not going to risk dying just to go out in public. I picked a time when I went out to the restaurant today. It was nice to be able to. It was a kind of a yucky day here in Georgia, and kind of gray and drizzly. And Greta came over, and we met my friend Kristen for lunch at this cute little restaurant in the town that I live in, the small town that I live in north of Atlanta. And we were far, far away from anybody at the table. And we were like we went later in the lunch period, and we were one of like 3 tables in the entire restaurant. And it's a big restaurant. So there were only three or four tables in the restaurant, and 2 of them left while we were sitting there. And the only person we came into contact with was our server. So, I felt pretty comfortable with going there, and I'm vaccinated up the wazoo.
Right.
I'll tell you that. My doctors told me I should get it, and I did. And I'm current on COVID vaccines and boosters, but that didn't do me a bit of good with the strain of coronavirus that I got.
No.
Yeah.
I had 10 million COVID vaccines, and that wasn't going to do me a bit of good with this one.
Well, everything mutates. That's the problem. It just keeps changing and changing.
And you're compromised. You have diabetes. You have lung disease.
Yeah, yes and yes.
So when people talk about it not affecting people or it's not that big of a deal, I mean, I have lung disease, Chip. I understand why it's so important. Like, we had to go to the hospital yesterday, and it may sound and if you want to later, we'll get into why later, but we had to really have a serious conversation about the risk factor of me going to the hospital.
Oh yeah. I mean, and people, I know there were some people that were kind of like rolling their eyes at your event for the past couple of years.
It's okay.
I was in a side room and saying, why do we have to wear a mask when we go into Chip's room? That's the reason. If you care at all about me, if you care enough about me that you want to come in and meet me, then you should care enough about me to say, we want to try to protect you as much as we potentially can. And that's the reason that I've had people wear masks in the room, because, I don't know all my fans and followers. They watch me on TV and feel like they know me, but I don't know them.
Right.
And the deal is, they could be going out and they could have COVID and walking around and not caring, or they could have some sickness and not really have symptoms yet.
And they've traveled from all over. So, I mean.
And that's it. And I've already been on a freaking plane, which is a petri dish flying around.
Well, I have a different view of this. My thing is that if someone asks you to, if people are coming to see you, and you're asking them to wear a mask, and I don't care if it's uncomfortable, I don't care if it's against my belief system. If you're asking me to wear it for you, and I care about you, and I'm a fan of yours or a follower, I'm going to wear it out of respect.
And I hate to be blunt about it, but if you don't want to wear a mask and that's what I'm requiring, then stay out of my room. There's the reality of it. When I'm sitting in that room, that's my house. So
yes.
And if you're coming into my house, my rules.
Yes.
So I don't mean to be, I don't mean to be a jerk about it, but that's it.
But why is it being a jerk that you're trying to protect your well-being, and not only your well-being, but someone you care about?
There are some people who will paint you out for being a jerk because you require that.
Right.
And you know what I say to them?
I do.
Mm-hmm.
Too well.
We do.
Yeah. The initials are FSO.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, but I if I don't take care of my health, who's going to? Nobody.
Nope.
Well, we've had conversations privately about things and your health and things of that nature. And again, you're doing something. You're
always been very protective of my well-being, so I appreciate that.
And that's all we care about. I mean, our convention, yes, it's important to us, and you add a great deal to our convention.
But not more important than your well-being.
But as a friend, no,
I'm not going to put myself in jeopardy.
Right.
That's the reason I'm just not going out and about. If you see an event where I'm going to be live at an event, and you want to see me live and in person, you better get your butt there, because I'm not doing many of them.
Right.
There's just very few of them. And I had to not attend an event. I'm sorry that I wasn't able to attend the event in Kansas City that's coming up very soon, but I'm still going to outpatient rehab.
Yeah.
So I've got, that conflicted. So I just couldn't do it. I couldn't do it.
So going through that, when you realized that you were going from bad to worse, were you? I've never been through that kind of illness before, although I've seen it up close and personal.
Right.
Were you in starting to get in the mindset of I might not make it through this, or were you positive saying I'm going to get better, I'm getting through this? What was
The doctor actually told me when I asked him, isn't there anything else you can do to help me get better? He said the only thing left that we could do that is put you on palliative care.
Yeah, that's the end pretty much.
And well, it's basically palliative care is when they still give you your medications,
Yep.
but they're keeping you comfortable. That's all they can do. There's no heroics. There's nothing else they can do for you. Give you the medications they've been giving you and hope for the best.
Yep.
And it's a step up, a small step up from hospice care.
Now, I'm going to ask you a personal question, and if you don't want to answer it, you don't have to.
Yeah.
Doing what you do and doing the readings for people that you've been doing forever and a day, do you fear death at that point?
I don't know that I fear death. I fear the way I might die.
Okay.
I think we all don't want to die struggling or in pain or something that's like that. I don't want to die. I mean, I don't. There's some people that may want to. I don't. I'm not ready to go yet. And I haven't really talked about this publicly yet, but right after the doctor told me the only thing they could do for me beyond what they were already doing was palliative care, he left the room and I laid back on my bed and started to cry because those are big words, folks. I mean, when you hear basically what he's telling you is you probably aren't going to make it.
Yeah.
We're doing everything we can for you and it's not really working at this point in time too well.
That's pretty much hospice is really what it is.
So I laid back and closed my eyes, and I'm going to say something that I'm going to stretch your belief system, but I saw Jesus Christ.
Yeah, you told me.
Behind my closed eyes. And Jesus Christ smiled at me and said 3 words, "Not yet, Chip." And when I shared that information with Greta, who we've mentioned her a few times, and for those who don't know, she's my best friend, and she's like a sister to me. We're family. And I told her what had happened, and she said, "Chip, it's funny you mentioned that that's the timing of this because that's when you had a turnaround and you started to get better."
Wow.
Yeah.
See, stuff like that gives me faith in that, I don't have a whole lot of that. And
I do.
And to know that, there are certain things going on now for us and with our lives. And today is the anniversary of my mom's passing. So
I'm sorry.
Doing this was kind of touch and go for me, especially talking to you. And we've talked about what you did for me as far as my mom before. My daughter contacted me earlier today because there's a lot going on in a lot of different areas. And I'm dealing with all of it, trying to anyway.
And you are a perpetual worrier.
Well, this is serious stuff. And my daughter contacted me earlier. She said, I was looking for something and I happened upon the photo album of pictures of grandma, and I found the pair of sunglasses that she must have left at my house. And I always meant to return them to her. I forgot I even had them. And I came upon them. Do you want them? And I just said to myself, that must be her just chiming in saying, hey, I'm here through all of this,
So I got a question for you, talking about your mom.
Right.
Here's a funny story or a unique story about something, and they often bring through the most random things.
Right.
What's the unique or funny story about BO, body odor, and deodorant?
It wasn't about me, whatever it was. I don't really remember.
There's a funny story about somebody that didn't smell good.
I don't know. I mean, I do have
Hold
someone
on to that, and you're
no,
gonna
no,
remember.
I'm kind of tracing it back to who it might be because I don't want to. He's no longer with us, but I mean,
Your mother's basically saying that somebody stunk. They be stanking.
Yeah. Well, I could trace that back to probably somebody. But again, it was one of those signs where I just kind of knew, you know.
Oh yeah, and they come in the most variable ways. It's not just one thing. It can be a multitude of ways that you get a sign from your loved one who's passed.
Well, I have to tell you real quick, Chip. A lot of people are saying how grateful they are that you're back. They're so happy. They had no idea that this happened to you to this extent. And they're saying that the story of seeing Jesus is really making them tear up and hit them in their heart. So
I am not St. Chip of Georgia. Let's put it that way. I have a frequently foul mouth and a bawdy sense of humor. But I'll tell you, I was raised Catholic and I'm not religious, but I am very faithful.
Right.
I have a strong belief system and I pray many times a day, many times a day. And I don't only pray for myself, I pray for a lot of other people.
Okay.
And, I felt I was gonna pull through after I saw that had that experience and saw the face of Jesus and he spoke those 3 words to me. I knew that it wasn't my time yet. I knew that it just wasn't my time yet. And things did turn around and I did get well enough to be let out of the hospital and sent to rehab.
did you feel when you saw Jesus behind your eyelids, did peace come over you? Was there just like a lifting of all of your fear and being upset over what the doctor had said to you? Did that all just disperse and go away?
I don't know that it went away 100%, but I will tell you that I just went, okay. I just kind of like went, okay.
You accepted it.
It was a calm. It was a calm that came over me that's like, all right, we can do this.
I know of people who actually passed. They were clinically gone and that have come back that it's not exactly the same situation as yours, but they claim to have been somewhere and they were told, not by Jesus or any, there was silhouetted figure or something with the angel silhouette, and they were told, not their time. You're going back.
Right.
Do you feel like he was coming to you or that you were more on the other side? What was the feeling of that he
I don't feel like I was dying actively.
Okay.
I just feel like he came to comfort me and give me the assurance that it was not my time to pass yet.
See, that's amazing to me. Again, you say you're a faithful person, but not a very religious person. You don't go to church, right? I mean, you're not a church goer.
No, I'm not. I have problems with the Catholic Church. I have some problems with the Catholic Church, but every now and then I'll go to mass.
Right.
I'll just whatever. But I don't feel like I need to be sitting in a church in order to be close to God.
Oh, I agree.
God is right here with me right now. And I do have a strong belief in God. I call God the highest power. Some people say higher power. No, God, there is no higher power than God. God is the highest power. That's how I refer to God. And I believe in guardian angels, and I believe that we have spirit partners that help us out, spirit family, spirit guides, whatever word you want to use, benevolent, kind beings that do what they can to help us through this crazy journey called life in the third dimension. So, yeah, I've sort of incorporated my Catholic beliefs in with my spiritual beliefs.
Well, I was raised under the Catholic Church, but I am not religious. I pulled away from the church because of things. And I've tried different religions, believe it or not, in different churches. And I found somebody said to me, really wise in the family, that our bodies are the temples, that we're the ones that bring in what we believe and what
Well,
we have faith in.
if my body is a temple, girl, let me just tell you, it's a decrepit old building. Let me just put it.
And it's haunted.
No.
It's haunted. Yeah, there's no doubt about it. It's haunted. You know, I've tried going to other faiths and other religions too, and other churches. And the Catholic Church feels like home. I walk into these old Catholic churches with the statuary and the old basilicas and the old big massive churches, and that feels like home to me. It still feels like home.
But isn't that all right? For like my belief, I feel the same way. When we walk into the church that we grew up under, the Catholic Church, it does feel like home. You feel like, yes. But I think it's not the church itself. I think it's because we feel like we're walking into God's house as we were raised it to be. Yeah, that it's his embrace we're feeling when we walk in, like, yes, I see you, there you are.
I'm not a very, again, religious person either. I have a lot of questions about religion and God himself and all that. But New York City, St. Patrick's Cathedral, we go to New York every Christmas. You walk in that building with all of those people who are, you can't hear a pin drop. And the candles are all lit and people are just sitting or walking around just quiet, and you know they're
on their knees praying.
Yeah, you know they're all kind of people.
One reason.
Yeah, you're right.
They're there because they want to be close to their maker, and that's the way I feel when I go in there. I call it being swarmed by God.
It feels that way, and I'm not one of those people, but I am really it's tangible when you're in that building, specifically around all of those people. It is something that feels
There's
tangible.
a synergy.
Yeah.
It's love. God is love.
Wow.
That's the embracing of, that's what, when people talk about faith, religion, it's about love. I always tell people, it's not about going to church like I used to say with my grandmother. She went to church on Sunday to repent and she sinned all week. And then she went to church on Sunday to repent again for her sins of that week. That's not how it works. That's not the way it's supposed to work. You're supposed to be a good person, good to other people. That doesn't mean you let people walk over you. It doesn't mean, but you're basically, how you are to be a godly person is that you walk in love and light and kindness where it's deserved, where it's needed.
Well,
and forgiveness.
So during that whole experience, Chip, you were in rehab for how many days, you said?
16 days.
So from the hospital, you were at the point where rehab was needed, what, just to build your strength, the oxygen, and
I was like, once you lay in bed for 2 weeks,
right,
you kind of begin to lose muscle tone or something.
Your muscles atrophied. They're not strong.
I couldn't walk that far.
Yeah.
I was using a walker. And in that 16 days, I went from being able to just get up and walk a few steps with a walker to the last day I was in rehab before they let me come home. I walked with a walker 380 feet. That's the length of a football field plus 80 feet.
Oh my God.
And then with a cane, I just started using a cane. I walked another 80 feet with a cane. And when I came home the next day, I got out of the car. Greta drove me home. I got out of the car and she brought the walker around to me. And because my cousin Kenny is in a wheelchair, we have a ramp in our garage. And I walked up the ramp with my walker and went into the living room and sat down on my love seat, which is my little space in the world in my living room. And I put the walker in the living room so I could get to it. And the walker's still sitting in the same place there if I need it, but I haven't used the walker since then. And a few times I've used the cane, especially in the beginning when I was going to go out and about a little bit more to a doctor visit or something. But usually if I'm walking around the house, and today when I went out, I didn't use a cane or anything like that. So I've made some really decent progress as far as mobility goes. My mobility was in the crapper when I went to rehab, from laying in bed all that time. It's
just amazing what that kind of illness could do to you. Really take you from being a pretty good. You're really conscious about your health. I know the diabetes, and to from that to just really,
it just sucked the energy and the life,
everything.
I mean, it took me down.
Right.
It took me down, and I don't take that for granted. I'm being very cautious and very careful because I have Kenny here also, and Kenny has a heart condition. He's got he's got severe mobility issues. He can only walk maybe 30 or 40 steps on a walker.
Wow.
And other than that, he's got to be in a wheelchair. So Kenny is pretty much from the bed into a wheelchair and back into bed.
Oh, I didn't know that.
So that's really tough. And he's immunocompromised. So I can't go out and bring something home to him.
Wow.
No, you can't.
See, that's what you and I were talking on the phone about that. And again, I know you were thinking that I was, being a little, overcautious, but
no, I'm not. I don't.
I understand the need to live your life, and you don't want to be a prisoner in your home and never go outdoors. But I would develop a phobia if I ever came that close to.
That's because you're a worrywart.
Huh?
Yeah, it's because you're stressed over
I
everything.
would be afraid.
I mean, I just don't want to. I don't want a repeat performance of this.
Right.
No,
because this had to have damaged my lungs.
Of course, yeah, you're
This had to have
severely
not been
compromised.
really good for my lungs.
you're more susceptible going forward.
Way compromised.
100%.
So I'm going to be as cautious as I possibly can.
So was this a life affirming experience for you? Did you find yourself just appreciating people more and things more and sunshine more?
I appreciate those people. I don't have much of a family left. I have a few cousins that are left. My parents are dead. I don't have a spouse. I don't have kids. All my aunts and uncles are dead. Grandparents are dead. My parents are dead. So, closest DNA family I have is a couple of cousins. I have many cousins, but I don't like most of them for various reasons because we're very different in a lot of ways. I have wonderful friends who've become my family.
Right.
We've talked about Greta, and I'm going to get emotional when I say this. All 30 days that I was away from home, Greta came to see me every one of those days, either in the hospital or in rehab. That's family.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we knew how scared she was for you.
And there's family that wouldn't do that.
Mike McCall, you've met Mike, my friend Mike. Mike was there often. He's been to my house and helped do things around the house. Mike has been there. My friend Dawn, who lives in the Chicagoland area, Dawn was on the phone constantly. My friends in Buffalo, they were on the phone constantly. It's those people that are the closest of close to me. My godchildren and their parents, Robbie Kearns and his family, they were all right there. And as far as life affirming goes, I'm not the guy who's easily asks for help.
Right.
I'm not at all that guy. I'm usually the one giving help or saying I'll do this myself. Or if I need something done, I'll hire a contractor to come in and fix something for me, whatever. So when people started stepping up and saying, let us prop you up now, that was hard for me. That was very hard for me. But something said, you've just got to swallow your pride for now, Chip, and let this happen. And it's okay to lean on folks right now because you need this.
Right.
And so I gave in and I did, but publicly, and I've told them this to their faces, I am so appreciative of all the kindness and the love that was shown to me by the people that are in my closest circle as well. They proved to me why they're in my life.
Because they love you.
And I love that.
And they're your family by choice.
Handpicked. And let me tell you this. Here's what a couple of things I'll bring up to you. I want people to remember me as somebody who was 2 words, loyal and generous. Well, there's probably a third word, honest. Because I'm going to tell you the way it is. If I tell you at all, if I care enough to tell you at all.
Right.
And if you push me hard enough, I'm not going to be somebody that's going to come for you. But if you come for me and you push me hard enough, it's going to be like the Jets and the Sharks. We're going to play da 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 da, and we're going to rumble in the streets. But loyal and honest and generous. Those are the words that I think I am. I'm loyal to my friends. They mean the world to me. And
I can attest to that.
Oh, yeah.
Can we talk about what you did for me and are doing for me?
Let's leave that.
Okay.
Let's leave that. Chris needed a referral to a physician, and I helped her out with that. Let's leave it at that. How's that?
Perfect.
I happen to know somebody that Chris had been trying to get an appointment with a physician, and I actually had an in and helped Chris, and I'm just so happy that we were able to do that.
So am I.
And that's
a testament to what you just said.
That's who I am, though. That's who I am. And if I care about people, John and I pick at each other all the time. We pick at each other, but he knows I care deeply about him, or he should. But part of our friendship is that nitpicking and picking at each other that we do to each other. But when push comes to shove, we have a really solid caring for each other.
100%.
And so I don't take any of that for granted. I could be alone. I could be sitting here alone, and I'm not. I'm really, really, really feeling the blessings that I have in my life. You asked me if things were changed. Even more than I did before. I'm counting my blessings.
And again, the things you mentioned are, the loyalty, the friendship, the generosity. There's a lyric from a song that says, "It's amazing what the hard times can reveal. Who shows up, who walks away, who's for real." That's when you find out who the people in your life are that matter. We've had, of course, you're known by so many people, millions of people. We're not nothing close to that, but in times of crisis for us, we've had people show up from unexpected places that aren't necessarily, like you said, family to us or by blood,
but
just
that touches your heart.
Exactly.
It really touches your heart, and it gives you this. People call it a warm fuzzy. I mean, it makes you feel cared about.
Right.
It makes you feel like you have worth, that somebody sees you.
Well, it gives you faith in humanity and in the world, and that there are just good people.
I know with the people that know that they've done things for me, know that I would in a heartbeat do whatever I could for them.
Right. Same here.
And I know that you guys, if I asked something of you guys would do your very best to be able to fulfill that request.
Of course.
And that's the kind of people I want in my life.
Me too.
Let the a-holes get out.
Yeah.
No, you're right.
I don't need superficial baseline people in my life. If there's not some substance to the relationship that I have, you're not going to get that close to Chip Coffey. I'll be as decent and nice as I can to most people, but those people that are going to be the closest of close to me, who are going to be like family to me, there's going to be a substance to that relationship. And I hear people say sometimes, they go, "Oh, I give without expecting anything in return." Bull. You know what that makes you? It makes you a sucker. If you don't expect that, if you're giving and giving and giving, that if you need that somebody's going to give back to you, that's ridiculous to say, "Oh, I give without any expectations." If you do that, then you're being taken advantage of.
Yeah, but on that point, becoming one of them doesn't. You shouldn't become one of them, and you should still do what you can if you can.
Yeah, but the expectation
the
is
expectation
on
of
a
it
human
coming
level
back.
is that you hope that there's
You-
friendship.
You would
there.
hope, but
yeah,
but
you can't
No.
expect it.
you can't. Some
if
people
I can't,
just
if I can't count on them,
right.
they're not going to be able to count on me.
I get it.
Yeah,
And
I get it.
that's me. That's me. I'm not going to give and give and give and give. I'm not going to be like the cow that's going to give the milk until my boob runs dry. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to be an utter failure. I'm not.
Boy,
I'm
did
not,
you write that down? Was that in your? Is that in your notes there?
It is. I mean,
that was a good one.
Yeah, I'm not going to do that. I mean, that I think is crazy talk. If you're just going to keep giving until you're used up, there's a lot of users in this world. We all know. There's a lot of people that will use and abuse your kindness and your generosity.
A lot of takers.
And if I can't turn around to those people that I've been loyal and generous to, if I'm in a time of need and expect them to step up to the plate, we're done. We're done. Our relationship has changed. It just has.
No, you had mentioned Greta, and we've known Greta for several years now, and Greta is again. I know a lot of the relationship between you two, but does it surprise me at all that she was there every night, 30 nights or whatever? No, not at all, because I know how she feels.
That's who Greta is.
I know how she feels about you. We've had those conversations, Greta and I, and she would do everything in her power for you. And you would for her.
You did. And she did.
Exactly.
We have this relationship. It is give and take.
Right.
And Spirit has told me time and time again, people will often ask me, what's my meaning? What's the meaning of my life? What's my purpose? You have many, many, many purposes. Many, many. Spirit has said, tell people that they are there to give and take, to teach and learn. That's what you're there for. And what's the meaning of life? Just get through it the best way that you can.
Yeah.
Just do your best. Make good conscious decisions as often as you can, but just get through it the best way that you can. You're not going to be perfect. You're not going to have a track record that doesn't have an X mark on it rather than a check mark. You're gonna have successes and failures in life, but it's what you do with those successes and failures that matters for what kind of person you're going to end up being. Yeah, I try to be one of the good guys. I can't be everything to everybody, but I try to be one of the good guys. And people get pissed at me sometimes. Can I say pissed on this show? I think I should.
Sure.
They said
worse.
Well, okay, yeah. But people sometimes get pissed at me because I don't give away my stuff for free. This is how I make a living. You have a job, I have a job. This is my job. And so when people go, well, this and this and this and this, sorry, I can't. If I was giving away my expertise in certain areas, or that's a bad word. I don't like expertise. My knowledge,
right?
That's a better word in certain things, and my capabilities in certain areas. If I was giving that away, I'd be living on the streets.
And my comment would be, what are they giving to you?
Well,
freely.
I don't know the answer to that.
People are wondering if you're doing readings again.
I am.
Okay.
I am. Actually, I got home from rehab, and a week later, I started doing my phone readings again.
I had heard that, and I was just like, you're not going to tell Chip what to do.
I'm a tough sucker. It requires sitting on a phone.
Yeah.
But, I had a bunch of readings that in 30 days, I had a bunch of readings that I needed to reschedule, like 20-something readings that I had to reschedule those people. And thank goodness everybody was understanding. And I had to find a place on my calendar that was already pretty jam-packed for all these people that were needing to be rescheduled.
Wow.
Well, you and I talked about that as well. Afterwards, did you find that you were fatigued from doing readings? Did it seem to take more out of you, or was it just...
What about your breathing?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was cognizant of that. I was cognizant of that.
Right.
I don't think people realize when you talk how much it takes from your lungs to do that.
It's been challenging sometimes, but I'm all right. That's the bottom line. I'm all right.
And again, I've had several people reach out to me after we had to postpone the last one, asking if you were still doing readings, and I kind of knew that you were, but I didn't know if they were the chip chats or whatever, the group reading virtual that you do.
With my friend Robbie Kearns.
Okay.
We are not doing the large readings where not everyone gets a reading. We have what's called chip chats. Coffee Talk is the big one where you might or you might not get a reading. With chip chats, there's only 10 people in the room and everybody gets a reading. Those sessions are $200. It's an abbreviated reading, either a quick chat with your deceased loved one, or you can ask me a couple of psychic questions. And it's a question, answer, a break in the middle, and then we go in and do readings. That's $200 with only 10 people in those sessions. So it's a really small, kind of intimate salon style group. I also do private phone readings where you can either have a psychic reading, talk to a deceased loved one, pick somebody you want to talk to. Since I don't do open channeling or multiples, one person that you really want to talk to, tell me who that is, or you can do a combination reading. And right now I'm booking into the summer. So I'm just letting you know, if you call my office, go on chipcoffey.com and you can find out information about my readings. Go to the private readings page and it'll give you information about the readings that I do. But I've been doing phone readings since 2001.
Wow.
Phone readings, that's 24 years ago coming up.
Wow. Sarah Peak said your chip chats are great.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. Those are kind words, and I appreciate that. We generally have a good time. Robbie and I started doing those right around the time that the pandemic was getting hot and heavy. So, I needed to have connection with my fans and followers, and needed to keep a little money coming in the door too. So, yeah.
You know what? Again, going back to the type of readings, and this is just again a general question about the readings and how you do them. I've seen one seance, or it was more like a group reading, where the medium would sit at the table and there were 12 people around the table, and she would try to give each person a message.
Yeah.
And again, me personally, I would prefer the one-on-one, because you know better than anyone, some of this is emotional. I mean, there's stuff that is going to,
it can be.
And this was a very emotional session that I witnessed. I was there because I was organizing the event, and I felt like I shouldn't have been there, because it was God. It was so emotional and so personal. Is there any feelings for you, like either way? Is there any difference, like from a one-on-one reading as opposed to that?
Well, if it gets if in a group setting it really starts to get to something that sounds like it's going to be like, I don't know if I should.
Yeah, that's what I'm asking.
Say that. I'm going to tell the person I'm getting some things, but I don't think we should talk about these things publicly.
Okay.
I'm not going to just throw things out there.
That's what I was kind of wondering, because there are
some personal stuff came out in that reading that was really brutal.
There have been things that have been brought up that are things like somebody guilty of crimes. There's been things that have been brought up about abuse situations, all types of abuse situations, criminal behavior, those things that there have been things that spirit, and then sometimes they'll throw out something that can be kind of embarrassing. They brought up, I remember I was doing an event once I think at Belvoir Winery, and the woman wanted to talk to one of her best friends who had passed, and her best friend brought up a yeast infection for God's sake.
Oh, all right.
What?
I almost got through it all without something like that. I
But
was
again, these are
pretty
things that
darn
can happen,
close.
right?
I have no control over it. And
We-
I just sometimes I just go, oh God, they want me to say that.
We had a live where someone was doing sample things for people, and it came out that he goes, "Are you sure we don't want to do this off later?" It came out something about an affair that her spouse was having, and we're like, "Oh crap!"
Oh, there's times when talking to a parent, and the parent will say, "You've got another sibling out there that you don't know about."
Oh my.
Oopsie.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's why I asked you, because I had seen the gallery readings at the expo. I had been at least to 2 or 3 of them. And again, personal experiences that I've seen, Chip always does a great job. People are laughing. They get their, validation messages. And I watched him. There was a man and a woman, and one, it was like randomly he was picking numbers. He had no idea what number. He just would say 104. He had no idea who ticket number 104
That's
was.
when we did the virtual gallery.
Exactly. Yep. And he would say number 104, and that person would stand up, and he would start reading that person. And there was, again, stuff about them and how they are personally and issues in their lives. And then he picked like number 205, and they kind of knew each other, and they had kind of similar issues. And he had them stand next to each other and like say to each other, "You're a good person. You have worth." Say that to him. Say that to her. They were kind of,
and we mixed up the numbers, so it wasn't
the numbers were
they
just,
didn't follow
and yet
through.
they knew each other, and he had no idea, and it was just.
And Chip didn't know we mixed up the numbers.
I was just like blown away, because one was sitting all the way in the back, one was in the front, and he just bam, bam.
I have a word for that. I call that when spirit comes through and they want me to really just bring 2 people or 2 or more people together. The phrase that I've coined with that is a hop, skip, and a jump. You say something's a hop, skip, and a jump away from you. You're hopping around in the audience, and the spirit wants you to discuss with those people that have commonality.
Yeah, but describe to me that process, and I don't know if you can accurately. Like, I understand the concept of doing a reading when someone's in front of you or on the phone or virtual or whatever, and you're picking up, you're focused on that person, that energy. How do you do that when it's 300 people?
Spirit tells me who I'm supposed to go to, and I just hone in on that person. It's all about focus and attention for me. I'm like, it's like laser focused on their energy as much as I can. So
you just get a message or something, and there's the person, 3rd row, 4 seats over.
They tell me in some ways. They told me once it's the guy with the hat, and he's got sunglasses. It's the guy with the hat, and he's got sunglasses. It's the guy with the hat, and he's got sunglasses. Nobody in this audience, there was not a guy with a cap on with sunglasses.
Right.
And finally, I was looking for him. And finally I said, they're telling me there's a guy in the audience with a hat and sunglasses. And this guy did this, and he had his sunglasses under his cap.
Oh.
Wow.
And I told Spirit, I'm like, you might be able to see through that cap. I can't. My eyes can't see through that. And the reading was for him. Absolutely. I was supposed to read him. But and they kept saying he's got glasses on his head and a cap. Glasses and a cap. Nobody had glasses and a cap. But as weird as it was, he had his sunglasses on his head underneath the cap.
I mean, that's what amazed me. Like I said, when we do the expo and Chip does the gallery reading, there are literally 300 people or more in the audience. And this person mentions a name or something, and they stand up, and then he goes, and I'm just like, my God, how do you filter that?
I have no idea how it works. None whatsoever.
So what are you doing prior to because you clear the auditorium and you don't want anybody there, and you're preparing for the gap. What are you doing? What's your prep?
I go pee.
Is that what it is? I figured it was something simple. I didn't think it was anything mind-blowing.
No, I don't have to jump through a hoop. Some people have their own rituals that they do. I don't.
So no meditation, nothing like that. I
can't meditate. If you could see inside my brain, it's like hamsters on crack.
Really?
You know, oh yeah. My brain is like hamsters on crack. Yeah.
I thought all mediums meditate. That's not part of the thing.
Not for me, it's not. They can do whatever they want to do. Not part of my stuff.
But this is what I like. I think people get stuck in a narrative of how things have to be, and that's not the way it is for everybody.
No, everybody has their own personal way. I can't slow my brain down enough to classically meditate. So I just sometimes will woo-saw and just let myself be in a state of, drifting or whatever.
So,
Somebody asked a good question, and I'll just throw it out there to you.
Okay.
Like when you're doing lives and you're talking or anything, do things come at you? Do spirits come at you? Are they trying to get into you and like try to get them at? Are you just like, no, we're good, they're off, and you don't have to deal with it?
My spirit partners are really good at taking care of the information they let through to me. They're kind of like circle the wagons around me and only let certain things come into me.
Gotcha.
I mean, some spirits have gotten so close, I've had to go, you need to get away. You need to go. You're starting to get really too close.
Right. Not an appropriate time.
I've done some physical channeling where I let the spirit go so far, kind of like Whoopi Goldberg and Ghost, like the spirit sort of take over.
you've really done that?
Oh yeah, I've done that. I've done that a number of times. I don't like it because I'm too much of a control freak. And this body belongs to me.
Right.
And I don't want anything else who knows that they're going to come in and stay. My spirit partners in God, I don't think it's going to allow that to happen. My angels, whoever, but I don't like it. I'll let them get so far, but it's kind of like when I've done that, when I've allowed that to happen, it's like I'm just standing off to the side and kind of letting them do what I call stream of consciousness talking out of my mouth.
I wouldn't do that.
Yeah, that's creepy.
Somebody said, Chip, you read me at the expo a few years ago, and to this day, I am extremely appreciative. Thank you. Her name is Bonnie.
I appreciate your kind words. Thank you.
Roger's on here too. So
Hi,
we can say hi to
Roger. I love you, Roger. You're the best.
So another question that I have for you, Chip, as a medium that I'm always curious about, and I may have asked you this before, but I wonder about this because it comes up a lot in the paranormal field. Do you feel, as a medium, you yourself or in general, is a medium capable of quote unquote crossing a spirit over? I think I've asked you this before.
Are we really going to go here?
If you don't want to, that's fine.
I will tell you, when somebody said, "Oh, I crossed that spirit over," my molars move in my mouth. It's kind of like, it's like fingernails on a chalkboard.
I'm glad I said it then.
You're a living human being. How the F do you know how to cross a spirit over? They're dead. You're not. What I do is I pray for them.
Okay.
Have your loved ones or your angels come for you. I'll give you an example. We know who Chris Fleming is. Chris Fleming and I were at an event once, and they were doing an EVP session or trying to communicate, and they had these spirits that were coming through on the spirit box and whatever. And these two ladies were there, and they were from the South, and they were the ghost whisperers, and they were in there talking like this, and one of them, they were like, "Oh, you need to go cross over, go to the light. You need to go to heaven." And they were over there just boo-hooing and talking and telling that spirit to go on to heaven. And they played back the tape, and the spirit comes through and says, "You."
Oh, wow.
Don't tell me what to do. You ain't my mama. So that's kind of the way I look at it. Spirits will sometimes stay here for a variety of reasons.
Right. We were talking about
that. You don't entirely lose your free will when you die. And you maintain a huge level of your personality. You don't have any sickness. You don't have any illness. You don't have any psychological problems. If you had ALS or you had dementia or whatever, you're no longer afflicted with those things.
I look at it like me telling him, go to bed now.
Someone said, I'm curious if Catholics have to go to confession after getting a reading. That's kind of a strange question.
Well, you know, if there's strong feelings about people going to see people who converse with the dead and whatever. I don't hold a gun on anybody. You want to come see me, come see me. Whatever you do beyond that that's your thing, not mine. I'm going to do for you what I do for somebody else. And if you have feelings about is this right for me, think about it and come or don't come. I don't care.
So again, if chipcoffey.com, right? That's how you did chip chats, right? And
or you can go on, you know, we're always on social media. Twitter/X, actually, they deleted my account without any warning, and I've tried to get them to explain to me how I can get it reactivated. They won't do it. So I told them, but I am on Instagram. I do have a fan page on Facebook called Chip Coffey Psychic and Medium.
Yep.
Look for the number of followers on there. And if you don't see a substantial number of followers, that person is a fake and a fraud and an imposter. So don't be fooled by them.
And to add to that, that person will try to post on this page as well somewhere. And I usually find it and I ban it and I delete it. But that person will try to contact individual people and say, hey, I'm Chip. Do you want a reading? Message me.
I just insist that these are people that are typically in an African country who are scam artists. So here's the deal. If you don't see a large number of followers, that's not me. That's not me. They'll try to trick you into something. And I'm not going to reach out to you on WhatsApp. I'm not going to send you a Facebook message. I'm not going to reach out to clients like that or to people like that. I'm not going to do that. So if someone does that to you, they are not me. They are not me.
Chip, what are your thoughts on reincarnation? Do you believe in reincarnation, past lives and all that stuff?
Absolutely.
You do?
I do.
Really?
Yeah, we talked about this once before.
Yeah, somebody just asked that again. That's why I asked.
I spent one of my past lifetimes, I think it was probably the one right before this one, I died in a concentration camp in Nazi Europe.
You really believe that?
I kind of know that because a friend of mine, that was someone who used to be a friend of mine, and I started having parallel dreams about our time together as brother and sister in a concentration.
Are you kidding me? You never mentioned that before.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my God.
That's insane.
My ex in this lifetime was a German SS officer in the camp.
Oh, my God.
And my goal was to survive that person in this life because we reconnected in this life. I reconnected with several people who were at the camp with me.
Same types of personalities as far as who they were
previously? I guess.
Okay. Wow.
I was female. I was a teenage female when I died. I was gassed. I was gassed.
Oh.
Well, we never talked about that before. Wow.
Gassed.
See,
Isn't that weird? And you have asthma. You have lung issues.
I have asthma.
But isn't that crazy? I wonder if that's tied with.
So did you do all the regression stuff to look into this, or this is just what you gleaned from?
Well, Beth, my ex-friend, and I both started having parallel dreams about that concentration camp. And we both had a dream and talked about it of the two of us. Beth was my younger brother in that life. My name was Anna, A-N-N-A. His name was her name was Stefan. And we lived in a flat wherever in the town we lived with our parents. We were the only two children. I was about 14 or so, and Stefan was about 6 or 7, and 5, 6, 7, somewhere in that age group. And we both remembered me sitting practicing piano and Stefan sitting beside me on the piano stool. We had that dream the same night.
What?
And dreams about things that happened in the concentration camp the same night.
That is bizarre.
Talk about them the next day. Oh, it was really bizarre.
You wonder how that, again, does that bleed over in the DNA, or you think that's the soul's?
I don't know. Think about it. The Bible,
meshing?
Christ says in the Bible, you must be born again, right? You've heard that phrase from the Bible. What most people think that's like you've got to be baptized, you've got to be
Right,
born,
right.
you've got to be washed in the blood of the Lamb. What if what Jesus really meant was, look, guys, I know you really want to be as close to my dad as you possibly can be. You want to cozy up to Papa. But you're never going to be perfect. You could be better and learn and improve your soul, but you're not going to get that done in one lifetime. So you've got to be born again and keep trying to perfect your soul as much as you can. Maybe what if that's you must be born again? What if that's what it means? Wow. It's another interpretation, isn't it?
Yeah.
People are wondering if you got a last name too that you could look up for historical records, or no, you didn't get any.
I didn't.
Wow, that is crazy.
But my ex in this lifetime, I'm gay. Surprise! But my ex's name, we broke up, and my ex's name was Frank, and Frank was an SS officer that I'm not going to go into detail, but we had a relationship. That soldier and I did. And I had a bargain with him that I did certain things in exchange for food for the children in my barracks.
Wow.
And he stood and watched me die. And the really funny thing was Frank had chickenpox when he was a child. And he had one little chickenpox scar on his cheek. And that soldier had that same chickenpox scar and looked very much like Frank looked in this lifetime.
That's crazy.
Beth said to me, she said, the first time you introduced me to Frank, I had to go like this and blink my eyes because I saw him in a Nazi uniform.
The person who was yours,
my
sister,
brother,
the brother in the past life. Wow.
Holy
That's a whole nother conversation.
And Spirit
for sure.
said to me, I'm going to tell you something else that's going to blow your mind completely. I was told that Frank and I reconnected and then broke up because I was supposed to survive him in this lifetime.
Oh.
And thrive in this lifetime, and I did. And he died in 2015. 10 years ago. And here's another thing that we all have spirit guides or spirit partners. And one of my spirit partners, and you can laugh at me if you want to, one of my spirit partners is Karen Carpenter, the singer.
Now, how would you know that?
She told me. You want to know what else she told me?
Heck yeah.
She was an SS guard in Nazi Europe that watched people starve to death, and that's the reason she had to starve herself to atone for that.
Oh my God.
Isn't it bizarre when you start flicking the switch to past lives to what our choices are now?
She starved them, and she starved in this lifetime.
That's, again, my feelings are real mixed on the past life stuff. I don't know. I've never had
There's too much out there, too many examples. I had a friend when I was working in the travel industry who had a nephew or a cousin or something, a little boy that had, from the time he could talk, he talked about his other family that lived in this other town and talked about their house and the family dynamics. And he kept saying, take me to see them, take me to see them, take me to see them. And finally, the parents, when he got about 7 years old, they're like, we're going to go take you. We're taking you. Just be quiet. We'll take you. So they went to the town. He directed them to the house. House looked just like they said it was going to be. They went up and thought these people are going to think we're crazy. Went up and told them about his wife and his children, and he had died. And they knocked on the door, and an older woman came to the door, and the little boy stood there, and she looked down, and the little boy said to her, my wife, I have returned to you. And he knew everything about this family, talked to them about things they had done, and the children, and all this stuff. Explain that to me. How did this kid?
No. I mean,
there's no practical explanation for that. There's no real way to explain it.
No, we interviewed a woman who was featured on one of these shows, and her son, at the age of 2.5, 3 years old, was talking about his other mommy that he had, and that he he kept talking about her, so they took him to like a university that studies past lives, and he knew the name of his mother, and he knew kind of where he lived, and they showed him pictures of 10 different houses, 10 different men and women, and 10 different parks, that random parks, and he picked out his mother and father on the first shot of his past life, where he lived, first shot, the park that was next to his house on the first. He literally just, without hesitation,
he knew who killed him.
Boom, boom, boom. Yeah, and he knew who he was murdered in his past life by the babysitter.
Yeah, I mean,
that was amazing. That interview and that story, if you want to call it that. How do you explain that? How?
Somebody brought up a comment about soul contracts. What the heck's a soul contract?
Where you come into this life with something that you want to accomplish in this lifetime.
Preset,
Yeah.
pre-known.
You've written the script and you try to stick with that script as much as you can, but sometimes free will and ego gets in the way. I don't think Adolf Hitler came into this lifetime deciding he was going to commit genocide. I think that ego and free will got in the way.
Right.
I don't necessarily believe that what's his name? Ted Bundy or Charlie Manson came in deciding to be a psychopathic cult leader or killer. I think that free will and ego sort of and illness and sickness sort of took over.
Yeah, I mean, not to go too far down the rabbit hole, for some of those people, they come from environments where they were beaten, molested, and whatever.
Yes.
And it turned them into, they never had a chance. They were just monsters from the time
they made decisions.
No, you're right. There are other people that
they made decisions. They made those decisions.
Yeah. We all have a choice when we're
They
adults.
could have taken another path.
No, you're right. You're right.
They could have taken another path, perhaps.
But I read something today that was very profound. I read a lot, and the statement was, and it was in something that was a nonfiction thing that was really cool, that this writer stated that men come, that men have all these different facets. We're not either good or evil. We have both sides of everything, but what we choose in our choices will slowly close off the other side. Right. So if you choose to be good, the path to the darker stuff will slowly become smaller. And if you choose to be bad, then the side to the light will slowly become, because of your choices. Right. It's like cutting off the blood flow.
Right. Makes sense.
You're feeding one or not the other.
Right.
So that kind of reiterates what you were saying.
Well, do you feed the big bad wolf, or do you let him starve to death?
That bad wolf is going to stay in that back door until I need it. I'm not going to feed it.
Nope. I don't want the big bad wolf coming after me.
Because I do believe what you put out there, you get back.
Now that song's going to stick in my head. Who's afraid of the big bad wolf? The big bad wolf.
See, this is just to show everyone. Again, Chip is here. Chip is fine. I know a lot of people were concerned when we postponed last week. I got a lot of messages saying, "Oh my God, did Chip relapse? Is he okay?
No,
I hope nothing happened to him." And I had to tell them,
no,
it was on our end. We had to postpone.
I appreciate that. John and Chris are really fine people. They've been such good friends to me over the years, and I'm grateful to them on so many levels, and to all my fans and followers, to my family and friends. I am blessed. I am beyond blessed. I am incredibly and insanely blessed.
So are we.
And I'm still here. I'm still kicking. I'm either the Energizer Bunny or the Timex watch. I took a licking and I kept on a ticking. TikTok, ladies and gentlemen.
But again, we love Chip. Chip's been Chip's been very good to us, and he continues to be very good to us. And again, Chip is not one of those guys that we've been doing conventions for many years. We know people, we've made friendships, but Chip again is one of those guys that it's a different level. Genuinely,
John's in Jersey. He knows people.
This is true. I know a guy who knows a guy, but we do. We love Chip, and again, no one's happier than we are that he's okay and that here he is back, and that hopefully we'll be seeing him down the road. Who knows? But you know, we love you, Chip, and
Chip's
we
the
are
real
grateful
deal.
for
For
it.
I
anybody
love
out there,
you too.
we do love you deeply.
Take care of yourself,
And we're
Chip.
going to be in Georgia Sunday.
Oh, that's right.
Oh,
We're flying in early, Chip.
call me and let me know. We'll
I
talk.
will.
We'll talk between now and then. Let's talk. Let's talk before you head out.
We know
Yep.
where you live, Chip. You know that. All right, Chip. You take care of yourself.
I got a 38 special. I can peel you off.
You heard? I have that on tape. If
There
anything
you
happens
go.
to me.
If somebody finds them in a drainage ditch, they'll know who did it.
No, there'll be a long list, Chip. You have no idea. Take care of yourself, Chip. We'll
Thank
talk
you,
soon.
guys. Bye, everybody.
Night.
There you have it. He's happy. He's healthy. He's back to his old self. And again, Chip is a wonderful person with a huge heart, and he could, you know, be a little bit of a pain sometimes. And believe me, I know better
he's
than most.
honest. He's honest with
That's
his
what I love
feelings.
about him.
He's honest with his
That's what I love
thoughts.
about
He's
him.
honest with his take on things. And if you ask him a question, he's going to give you the unvarnished truth. And I love when you have people who are straightforward.
Yeah, Chip is just, again, a really, really good person, and he will go above and beyond for the people that matter. And he's proven that to us and to lots of other people. So thank you guys for watching. We'll be back on probably, what is today? Wednesday? Maybe before we have an event on Friday.
It's
so
tough.
maybe Friday night after our event with the high school kids, if we can. Otherwise, thanks for watching. We appreciate it.
Have a good night. Stay safe, stay healthy, and please, please remember to be kind to each other. It really, really makes all the difference.
We'll
Good
see
night,
you soon,
everybody.
guys. Have a good night.